Gibson is the Oscar-winning actor and director who has had his fair share of highs and lows due in large part to several self-inflicted scandals. Born in 1956, Gibson and his family moved from New York to Australia, where he first came to prominence as an actor thanks to George Miller's original Mad Max trilogy, plus leading roles in Peter Weir's Gallipoli and The Year of Living Dangerously. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to click subscribe if you want more weekly updates on. Let's look back at 12 of his greatest films, ranked worst to best.
Nothing happened after you put her in the cab.
12 What Women Want 2000.
She said you had to be in bed early.
Although subsequent events in Gibson's personal life might make the idea seem strange now, in 2000, Gibson was very much considered a romantic leading man. Thanks to the chemistry between Gibson and Helen Hunt, the out there premise actually manages to work as a romance for his performance. Gibson won the Golden Globe for Best Actor. 11. The Bounty 1984. Roger Donaldson's film was the third large-scale Hollywood swing at Mutiny on the Bounty, coming after the 1935 version with Clark Gable as Fletcher Christian and Charles Laughton as Captain Bligh, followed by 1962's remake with Marlon Brando and Trevor Howard in the same roles respectively. In Robert Bolt's script for The Bounty, the two characters have been longtime friends, and Bligh is presented as much less of a villain, giving the famed story another layer of complexity. Gibson and Hopkins come through like the pros they are. SIGNS 2002. In what is probably the last critically appreciated film by M. Night Shyamalan before he fell into a 15-year-long abyss of not-so-great reviews, Gibson starred as Graham Hess, an ex-priest who lives with his family on a small Pennsylvania farm. Gibson's job here is to sell the audience on the plot and believe in him as the hero, which he achieves smartly. Nine. Lethal Weapon series in 1987, 1989, 1993, 1998. The success of Lethal Weapon 1987 launched Gibson's most financially lucrative franchise with a bang. Gibson, Glover, and Donner remained through all four Lethal Weapon films, but the writers changed for each one as the series progressed. Though the series remained financially successful, the films became more and more comedic, leaving fewer opportunities for Gibson to explore his psychologically complex creation, SPT, Martin Riggs. Eight. HAMLET 1990. When Gibson, who was coming off two Lethal Weapon movies, was first announced as esteemed director Franco Zeffirelli's choice to play Shakespeare's famous melancholy Dane, let's just say that there was some skepticism in the film community. In fact, Gibson himself surprised many critics with his solid performance and, perhaps most impressively, more than held his own alongside such great actors as Glenn Close, Alan Bitts, and Paul Scofield. Seven. Apocalypto 2006. For Gibson's third directorial effort, he turned to the 1511 world of the Mayans to tell the story of Jaguar Paw, a tribesman who, after escaping from being the victim of a sacrifice, sets out to rescue his family from their Mayan village that is about to be destroyed. Like the Passion of the Christ, Apocalypto is not in English, but is instead true to the period, and uses the ancient language of Mayan. Still, the film was a relative box office success, powered by largely good reviews, particularly for Gibson's direction, which was cited by many critics for its expert pacing of challenging material and for its expressive visual style. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe for more. 6. The Passion of the Christ 2004. The Elephant in the Room. You can't discuss Gibson's career without tackling his controversial depiction of the final 12 hours in the life of Jesus Christ. In the US in particular, religious audiences embraced the film, citing that it was the kind of film that Hollywood should be making. However, many critics decried the Gibson's use of extreme violence, and several felt that the movie subtly promoted anti-Semitism. That being said, like all of Gibson's directorial efforts, the film is effectively made. Braveheart 1995. Gibson's most honored film. Braveheart recounts the life of William Wallace Gibson, a Scottish warrior who led the Scots in rebellion against England's King Edward I. Gibson gave a rousing performance as Wallace, but although it was his first time behind the camera for a feature film, it was Gibson's assuredness both in his direction of the action and character scenes that truly caught critics by surprise. Hacksaw Ridge 2016.
I always dreamed about being a doctor, but didn't get much school. I can't stay here while all them go fight for me.
Did you figure this war is just going to you don't kill?
No, sir.
You don't go.
Starring Andrew Garfield, Sam Worthington, Vince Vaughn. This may be a minority opinion, but I regard Gibson's direction of his 2016 Oscar-nominated direction of Hacksaw Ridge to be much superior to his Oscar-winning work on Braveheart. In his biography of World War II conscientious objector Desmond Doss, Andrew Garfield, in a terrific Oscar-nominated performance, who felt an obligation to serve, but who was mocked for his anti-violence beliefs. The first part of the film is quite good, but it is in the film's second half, when it depicts the harrowing events of the battle for Hacksaw Ridge, That Gibson's skill as an action director really shines. It's some of the best action direction of his career.
You'll have to trust me. You better come home with me. Please, Lord, help me get one more.
3. The Year of Living Dangerously, 1982. In his second successful collaboration with director Peter Weir, Gibson portrays Guy Hamilton, an Australian journalist who is plunked into the midst of an attempted government coup in 1965 in Indonesia. Guy has no contacts among other foreign correspondents stationed there, so he must rely on his local photographer contact, a male dwarf named Billy Kwan Linda Hunt, who won an Oscar for her performance, who has important contacts within the dangerous political world there. As with their partnership in Gallipoli, Weir and Gibson seem to be on the same wavelength, and his critically acclaimed performance proved to be an important stepping stone in the growth of Gibson's career. To Gallipoli, 1981. Since his voice was dubbed for the American release of his breakthrough film, Mad Max, Gibson's real voice was introduced to domestic audiences in Peter Weir's acclaimed film about the famed World War I battle at Gallipoli in the Ottoman Empire in what is now Turkey. Weir's tale of friendship under fire was moving also thanks in large part to the performances of Lee and Gibson in particular. And when the ultimately tragic battle takes place, it has the impact of a punch to the gut. Thanks to Gallipoli, Gibson suddenly found himself on Hollywood's radar. One, Mad Max series 1979, 1981, 1985. The original Mad Max 1979 was an Australian production that was acquired for U.S. distribution by American International Pictures 8. And while I bow to no man in my love for AIP, the company for the most part provided fodder for drive-in theaters. 8 felt that the film was too Australian and wiped the movie's soundtrack and replaced it with American voices. But the kinetic direction of George Miller and the presence of Gibson were still there to make the film memorable. Its success prompted 3 sequels, the second and third of which also starred Gibson, but it was the second film, retitled The Road Warrior 1981 in the US, that became a critical and box office sensation that established Miller and Gibson as the premier action team of the 1980s